welcome to this session on postgraduate business courses at Sturt University. So a little bit about me. My name is Kath Attree. I'm the course director. I'm a course director in this, the Faculty of Business, Justice and Behavioural Sciences, and I look after the MBA, the Master of Human Resource Management, the Graduate Certificate in Organisational Change, and a Graduate Certificate in Industrial Relations. And I have a background of working prior to joining the university in Australia and international leading teams. So one of the things we like to say about Sturt University, and this really primarily is relevant for domestic students. So if you're an international student, usually that means you're studying full-time. Sometimes international students do have family with them and do work part-time, but if you're a full-time domestic student, usually you're working full-time and you have a family and you'll be studying part-time. And so what we like to say is that the way we deliver our programs, and for domestic students, all of our postgraduate business courses are delivered entirely online, you get the opportunity to fit study around your life and your needs. So you can enroll in a full-time program or a part-time program if you need to take a break because your career has put some challenges in the way and you find things have become more busy at work. You can take a leave of absence. So you can really tailor the course and the way you study to your own circumstances. Obviously that's a little bit different if you're an international student because you're bound by the visa regulations. But a lot of our study, regardless of whether you're an internal student or an online student, is delivered through a learning platform which is online, and most of our lectures would be recorded as well, and the online modules are there for you to connect in and look at any time. So the thing about studying is that you can really do that study anywhere and at a time convenient to you. And for our domestic students, it does mean that you're not limited to staying in one location. So we had a student in our MBA program, and he said that one of the great things about studying at Sturt University was that when he was offered a job in New Zealand, he didn't have to give up his study and find another university. He was able to take his study with him. So we have more than 70 courses available for online study, but we also obviously have some courses for international students on our study centre campuses in Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney. What are some of the features of our postgraduate courses is really that practical relevance of the subjects and the opportunity to undertake what we call authentic assessment tasks that are situated in industry. So, for example, if you're studying one of our subjects and you're employed full-time, we'd expect you to undertake research and analysis and write about something that's relevant to your workplace. So it's really practical and very relevant to your own career and your own workplace situation. So the MBA in particular, that's offered to domestic students in an online mode and to international students at study centres in Sydney and Melbourne. For the domestic students, really that flexibility to fit the study around your life is what's the key. So being able to take one subject or two subjects per session, depending on your family and workplace demands, and being able to either finish it in 2 years part-time or 3 years or 4 years, really depending on how quickly you want to get through and what other demands there are on your time. If you're studying at full-time, then it's 1 to 1.5 years. There's also a huge range of specializations in the MBA, and I'm going to cover off on those in a minute. And if you studied previously at university at master's level or graduate certificate level, you'll get credit for any prior study where we can possibly grant it. I already mentioned that the course is really practical and situated in the professional context so that you get real world experience that's directly applied to your workplace, and we expect that you would undertake your assessment tasks and use the situation of your workplace to actually analyse and report on initiatives that you've undertaken. The specialisations that we offer for our domestic students are accounting and finance, business analysis, operations and strategy, educational leadership. So we have a lot of school principals who come into the program, and for teachers, by the time they get up to school principal level, they actually really need those business skills. So they're dealing with people, they're dealing with budgets, they're dealing with finance issues, they're dealing with external parties like parents and other stakeholders. So they need a lot of very strong business and leadership skills. And so we get quite a few school principals in our MBA program, and they get to specialise in educational leadership, and they find it extremely valuable. We also have an entrepreneurship and leadership specialisation, human resource management specialisation, information technology, law enforcement and security. So similar to the teachers, we get a lot of police in our MBA program, because again, once you move up past constable to sergeant or in inspector level, you're starting to make really quite managerial and high level decisions that have workforce implications, that have leadership implications. So the MBA is a very relevant and practical course for police as well. There's a specialisation in leadership, a specialisation in marketing. Our newest specialisation is the project management specialisation. And for those people who are working in the public sector, we do have a public sector management specialisation. And lastly, our social impact specialisation, which is really about looking at a whole host of relevant issues. So particularly in our COVID-19 world, the social impact of business decisions and business operations on people's livelihoods, but also on wider social issues like climate change and sustainability. Okay, so in terms of career opportunities, I thought basically most people who come into the MBA are at a middle management level, and they're looking to move up into senior management roles. And here's a couple of examples of some quotes from students who I've been in contact recently with. So the first this person's actually a head of school at another university, and she has a PhD. And then after the PhD, because she'd moved into a leadership role, she took on the MBA. And she has now moved up into a more senior executive role with that university. And she has told me that it's a direct outcome of the education she gained through the MBA. So it made her look at her practice in a more professional manner, where she looked at a broad range of issues like strategy, management, human resource management, finance, accounting, really that big picture thinking that she found incredibly useful. And the next student was a student I sent a little message to, because she got what we call a Dean's Award, which is when you get an average of a distinction in a session. And I just sent a little message saying congratulations on your Dean's Award. And she came back and said that how much she'd enjoyed the course and the immediate and practical benefits it had to her own professional development, and that she's learned enormously. And I thought it was lovely from someone who'd done so well in the program. So these are just sort of examples of what's happening as you're going through the course and you're studying the MBA. You're growing and developing and gain new experience and new confidence and new skills that you can really apply to your workplace. So in terms of entry requirements into the MBA, for our 12 subject program, what we would expect that you would have is an undergraduate degree from a recognised Australian tertiary institution, or the equivalent. So if you're from an overseas country, the equivalent will be what NUSA, the National Office for Overseas Skills Recognition, deemed to be equivalent to an Australian bachelor degree. And then for most of our MBA students, we would expect you to have workplace experience. If you have a bachelor degree from an overseas university and you don't have any workplace experience, then we could consider you for the MBA, but we'd require you to do an additional 4 subjects. So that would be the 16 subject MBA program that you'd need to enter into. If you're a domestic student and you don't have a bachelor degree, then we would expect that you have some sort of post-secondary study, so a certificate for a diploma, a TAFE-style program, plus significant work experience. So in this case, we're recognising your leadership and your skills that you've gained in industry, together with your Cert 4 or diploma level qualifications, as adding together to be the equivalent of an Australian bachelor degree. And then what we would suggest is that you enter via the graduate certificate course, which is actually the first 4 subjects of the master degree. And from then you'd move on to the masters after completing them. And I'm going to show you how that works on our next slide. So here is the masters, the MBA program. So the first 4 subjects are general business subjects: marketing, accounting, management and strategy. And so if you come in through the graduate certificate program, you do those 4 subjects. If you come in through the MBA, you do those 4 subjects. So everybody's doing the same 4 subjects, and everybody gets the opportunity to take out the graduate certificate after they've completed those 4 subjects. And once you've done that, everybody can then move on to the next 4 subjects, where we ask you to choose 4 from this group of restricted electives. You'll find some MBA programs require you to do finance and require you to do HR and require you to do certain subjects. What we think is, if you already have a degree in finance and economics, why would we ask you to do finance again? The finance at this level is going to be quite easy and simple for you if you're a finance specialist. So you're much better off complementing your knowledge by taking studies in a different discipline. So for example, you might want to look at complementing your financial background with more what we call soft skills, like human resource management or management of change. So really, those 4 electives are for you to identify where there are gaps in your knowledge and plug those gaps with the subjects that are most relevant and applicable for your career prospects. And then lastly, it's the 4 subjects that make up your specialisation. So if you were taking, for example, the human resource management specialisation, then you take 4 subjects in HR. So at each stage you can exit with a qualification and keep on studying. So you can exit and not continue studying, and you can exit and continue in studying. So after you've completed 12 subjects, you potentially would have gained 3 qualifications: graduate certificate, a graduate diploma, and an MBA, Masters of Business Administration. We do have a range of other programs. So if you're looking for a short course just to upskill in a particular area quickly, then we have a range of 4 subject graduate certificates. The graduate certificate of commerce is basically for you to choose whatever 4 subjects you want to study. Then we have other areas like dispute resolution, industrial relations. This has been a really hot area because of the COVID-19 situation. And in Australia, we're seeing huge reforms in the industrial relations space with lots of change. So this is obviously a really key area. The other graduate certificates we offer are human resource management or marketing, applied digital marketing. We have a graduate certificate in organisational change, which is really popular and quite useful for people in this very volatile, uncertain, chaotic and ambiguous world that we live in. There's also organisational coaching and leadership, as well as social and organisational leadership. At the master's level, we have a Master of Commerce, and this is a great qualification. It is offered also for our international students at our study centres in Sydney and Melbourne. And in this course, you have the opportunity to specialise in up to 3 specialisations. And that has, I think, about 20 different specialisations to choose from. So it's a really flexible program, and it's a great program if you want to tailor the course to your own specific needs and really specialise in 3 distinct areas. You can graduate with between 1 and 3 specialisations for that Master of Commerce. We also have the Master of Dispute Resolution, the Master of Human Resource Management, Master of Marketing, Master of Applied Digital Marketing, and a Master of Social and Organisational Leadership. And then our most recent course is the Graduate Certificate in Community Leadership and Resilience. And this has been developed in consultation with community to help communities in Australia rebound after recent adverse events such as the bushfire and now COVID-19. Okay, so I thought I'd just move on and show people a bit of a snapshot of other courses beyond the MBA. So this is our graduate certificate in organisational change, and we've recently taken this course through review and revised it as COVID-19 was playing out. And so we feel that this is a particularly relevant course for people in the current environment if you want to get on top of organisational change, which is happening in every single organisation across Australia and you know, the world pretty much. So it involves a core of 2 subjects: the facilitating change, which introduces you to change concepts, helps you to understand a whole range of issues around why people resist change, what are the important issues around stakeholder engagements, and what are the major success factors in implementing change. And then you move on to actually look at some practical methods in implementing a change process in your organisation. So the second subject is more of a process subject where you actually get the practical hands-on application, and you undertake a few assessments looking at rolling out a change initiative. And then you get to complement those 2 core subjects with something again where you feel is greatest benefit to you and your career plans and your organisational needs. So if you really want to understand human behaviour and why understanding humans and how they resist change and how to improve change outcomes related to human behaviour, then there's a group of subjects in the human behaviour group. If you're interested in the technical or the process aspects of change, then there's a bundle of subjects in that area, such as project management, strategic management, training and design, and human resource management. And lastly, if you're interested in the innovative side and the adaptive side, so what new products, what new ways of structuring the organisation, what new processes, what new operations you can follow, then there's an innovative and adaptive group of subjects. And you get to choose 2 from one group or 1 from 2 different groups. It's really up to you. So that's our graduate certificate in organisational change. The next one I thought we'd do a snapshot in is because of the COVID-19 situation, is the graduate certificate in industrial relations. And again, we've taken this course through course review while COVID's been playing out. And all of the things that have happened in the Australian workplace and with government have really fed into the decisions around this course and how it's structured and designed. So we have 2 subjects pretty similar to the previous course that are core. One is setting the context and one is providing you with the practical aspects of rolling out industrial relations issues and working with them. And then you need a subject around legal issues. So you can either take the heavy law subject or you can take the more introductory legal framework subject. And then you can finish up with a subject that really complements where you want to go. So if you want to steep your knowledge in the law and the legal frameworks, you can take both of those legal framework subjects. If not, you can look at other things like, for example, values and conflicts or politics or conflict resolution or some contemporary issues. And then this course, which is the next course that I thought we could do a quick snapshot information on, is the Master of Social and Organisational Leadership. This course is for those people who really see their career as being steeped in leadership and really want to engage with the philosophy of leadership and the major, I guess, contemporary issues around leadership and how to be a good leader. So it starts off with theory and practice of leadership, and then it moves into identifying some challenges around leadership, some contemporary issues, then looks at what is toxic leadership and what is the problems and how to deal with issues around toxic leadership. From then on, once you've finished the grad cert, you can move on to the graduate diploma and you look at leadership in teams, because pretty much we all work with people. So we need to know how to work as a leader with teams. And then bringing in aspects like difference and leadership and diversity and what that means for leading teams. And then there's some electives in the program, and if you want to move up to the master's level, then you finish off with some things like power and leadership and how power can be harnessed for good and for bad in the leadership context, and also how leadership can be used for social impact in our society. And within that course, there are opportunities to have a second specialisation in either change facilitation, communication, human resource management, or sustainability or research. Okay. For any of our postgraduate courses, what you need to have is a recognised degree, usually with some experience, or some post-secondary qualifications with significant experience, or you can, get in touch with us and we can give you some advice about whether you're eligible or not, depending on your circumstances.